Om.
Sarah, I think we can start with the last session we read, right? Saram, yes, Arunana will be a bit late today. So he asked us to start with our readings and he'll join us. Um, so I guess I'll read what we read last time. I think we left it with this, right? We didn't discuss this section. We just left with it.
Sorry, I'll go back. That was a new one. I'll go back to the last slide then. Or do you want to do the new one that we didn't do yet?
The last one, we discussed it, right?
Yeah, we discussed it quite heavily, yeah.
We'll go with our new one, yeah.
Okay.
I see Mani Auntie is here too. Okay, that's good. Okay. Sarah. Do Abhisheka, ceremonial bath of deity, to the Atmalinga with the pure waters of your own pure Chitta Vritti, mental impulses. When the Chitta, consciousness, heart, moves into the direction and the Indriya, senses, move towards another, the person is doubly confused. So keep attachment afar. When that is done, whatever you do becomes a sacrifice, a yagna. Whatever you speak becomes a holy mantra. Whatever you plant your foot, the place is rendered holy. Arjuna, I shall tell you something about yajna also. Listen calmly, controlling all agitation of the mind. People talk of Dravyajnana. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Tapo Jnana and Yoga Jnana.
Dravya Yagna, Tapo Yagna, Yoga Yagna.
Thank you, Auntie. A pit is dug, the earth excavated becomes a mound by its side. There's no pit without a mound. When riches accumulate in one place, there must be corresponding charity too. The proper utilization of one's riches is Dravya Yagna. What is proper utilization? Gift of cows, of lands, of skill are included under Dravya Yagna. Again, when all physical activities, mental activities, and speech are utilized for sadhana, spiritual discipline, then it becomes Tapo Yagna. How can it be a tapas? If you are laid down due to weakness arising from missing a meal, if you are laid down due to weakness arising from missing a meal, doing karma but yet remaining unbound by karma, that is yoga yagna.
Yeah, okay.
I guess we can go by paragraph by paragraph. It's a bit.
Yeah.
So the first one, Swami is saying keep attachment afar, which is the same as before.
Do Abhishek.
Yes.
Okay. Jaladharanta Atmalinga Abhishekam Chedi.
I think the first line. Sorry, Auntie, go ahead.
I think in the previous paragraph, Swami was discussing about asangatvam, that is detachment from all the things. Even if you are doing karma, your Atma is not doing anything. So get that feeling that you are not the one who is a doer, and it's all done by the consciousness which is doing the karma. That's what I think the previous paragraph said that. Then you become a asanga. Asanga means not to have any attachment to anything. So, and moreover, he said, like a lotus leaf, you have to be in the samsara, not being polluted by or tainted by the samsara. That's what we read it. Now, Swami is saying, do abhisheka. Chitta vrittala jaladharato atmalinga abhishekam. Atmalinga, with the pure waters of your own pure chitta vritti, mental impulses. Anybody else can comment on that?
Auntie, the first Abhisheka is mentioned about how you, it's within you, Atmalinka, you do with your impulses mentally. It's not physically you are performing anything.
No, not at all. Yeah, correct, you are correct.
So that is one, the ceremonial, first one is talking about.
Yeah, Abhishek.
So your conscious supposed to be pure and Entriya's control of that. So that's how the Atmalinka Abhishekam take place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Saira.
Yeah, the second line basically says, right, if your chitta moves in one direction, so if it's not pure, then your senses also, right, then you become confused. So if you control your chitta, then your indriyas are...
Chitta vritti. Vritti is the impulses or the thoughts which come in it. So it should be controlled first. And then if it is in one direction and indriyas are in the different direction, the person is confused.
Saira Manti, you just mentioned about the last sessions, the end paragraph, the sign of detachment in it, but yet outside it. When I think about that, how to be in it, but yet outside it, I thought in myself, two perfect example is one is King Tasarada and the other one is King Janaka. King Tasarada, he was in the samsara sahara and he couldn't be able to get out of that samsara situation. That's why when Lord Rama Irdidi went to Anyadavasa and he was unable to get out of from that one, he died. But still, King Janaka, when Sita Mata went to the Irdidi forest, he tolerated and he adjusted and he was still living and did everything. That means that he was in the samsara, but still he separated or detached from the family bonding and he was able to renunciate everything and lived as a jnani. But how we will be able to, because those two are the two extremes, how we could come to the King Janaka stage to do that sort of the detachment.
Yeah, perfect examples you have given, Sister Anandi, but it is Vanavasa, not Agnatavasa. Agnatavasa is The difference between Vanavasa and Agnatavasa is when in Mahabharata, for 1 year, those Pandavas have to live in Agnatavasa. That means not to be cognized by anyone. That is where the 1 year they serve in Virata Raja as, Bhima is a cook and Arjuna was a dancer, and then Dharmaraja was, you remember that? No, that's Agnatavasa.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Vanavasa. Vanavasa is to go to the forest. So just I thought I should make it clear to you. And whatever you said was Janaka, like Janaka. Janaka was completely, he was a king, he had kingly duties, and he had to perform everything. But at the same time, he was most detached to his kingdom, he was performing duties, but always established in that Atma Sthiti, Gnana. He used to be in Gnana, always aware of the consciousness, which he is, as a person, he is doing his work as a common subject he is doing. And always, he never thought that he was a king and his duties were, the kingdom belongs to him or anything like that. He was always detached, like the lotus flower. Yeah, I think.
But get into that stage, it may take several births or something. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Auntie, you have mentioned about the Ajnana Vasa. Can you elaborate little more to understand, please?
Agnatavasa. Agnatavasa.
Yeah, Ajnana Vasa.
Allama, Agnana illa, Agnata.
Agnata. Okay.
It's like a Maravesham, auntie, kind of, they had to go take a different, so they shouldn't show their identity. So that's why Bhima was a cook. There was one portion, I don't know how long they did that, but they, so that's when Arjuna was the female
So then,
dancer. He became a dancer. Yeah, he had to perform the duty as a dancer.
Okay. What is the name has any meaning for it? That
Agnata. Agnata means to know, unknown, unidentified.
Unidentified. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Agnata. Okay, thanks.
Agnata. Okay.
Agnata. Thanks.
What exactly is Atma Linga versus just Atma?
Atma Linga is Atman consciousness, the pure consciousness. That means what Swami is saying is, you be attached to the Atman, not to the world. That is why he is saying Atma Linga Abhishekam. That always think yourself to be that pure absolute consciousness, not of this world.
So it's the same as basically Atma, right? Like
Atma. Basically, it is Atma. Be established in that, reside in that, feeling that you are Atma, not the mind, body, mind, which you are now in which you find yourself.
So, auntie, that means that every day when we taking bath, so that means that we are doing the Atma Visheka, yeah?
Yeah, you can think of your own way. No, you're not only cleaning our own body, but the Atma inside us is being also, the pure thoughts should come to us to purify, as far as possible, we purify our body, not only the body purification, at the same time, Atma Abhishekam also should be done. As far as possible to get rid of all the evil thoughts, bad things, and then come to that purity of the mind and purity of the consciousness.
That's why it is told that to recite even Gayatri Mantra while having a bath.
And you have to remember all those holy rivers. Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, all there is a mantra which always they say when you take bath.
Right.
Think of Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, Ganga, all those things, all those waters. Let me purify myself with those waters. Basically, what the first paragraph is saying, that one who is well established in Atma, he can be, he has no attachment at all to the whole world. So whatever he does, it becomes a sacrifice, it's a yajna. And whatever he speaks becomes a holy mantra. And wherever he plants his foot, that becomes a kshetra. That's a holy place, it becomes.
So in the line where it says when the chitta moves in one direction and the indriyas move toward another, the person is doubly confused. So say like you have some negative thoughts in your chitta, you wouldn't want your indriyas to follow that. So you do want your indriyas to move in a different direction, right? So you try to see something good or hear something good. So aren't they moving in?
Kalyani, chitta here is consciousness, ma.
Okay.
It's not that memory and what Swami is taking. Senses are different. You know that senses are going out and then bringing all the information from outside.
Mm-hmm.
But it is to the mind which is acting on it, which is taking the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Discrimination, that buddhi. You know, my antakarana consists of the four things.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes,
Mano, buddhi,
Manasvati.
chitta.
Yeah.
There, chitta is memory. Here, Swami is saying about consciousness.
Okay.
Sat Chit Ananda also, you know, from there, the word chitta here comes. Chit.
Okay.
So do abhishekam to your atma with your consciousness. Is that what you're saying, chitta vritti then?
Yeah, pure waters of your own chitta vritti. That means pure thoughts. Pure thoughts should come. So the Atma is, I don't know, Abhishekam here means only to the Atma Linga.
So your visual, your atma is like he's calling
Yes.
atma linga, but it's atma, right?
Atma only. Atma is detached. Always it remains detached. It has nothing to do with this things which we do, we thoughts which become, the actions which we do, perform. It has nothing to do with the all these days, you know, you have been reading about this. That's what his Swami is repeating here.
The auntie, the sister Kalyani has already asked this question, but still, I thought the mind and the senses always, when we are attracted by something, that is senses, our mind goes after the senses. I thought whenever the both will be both will be moving together, mind and the senses in one side. So how it would move in an opposite direction, and then we will be doubly confused. Normally, in most, if I say myself, if my mind goes, if my senses goes, the mind also will walk along with the senses and go into one direction. At what time it would go in an opposite direction?
Sister Anandi, Indriyas are the gate, the open things, you know, I mean, the Indriyas go out and to the external world and bring information to the mind. You're talking about mind and senses, are you not?
Yes, Auntie. Yeah.
Actually, they don't go together. Indriyas are first, they attack the things outside in the objective world. They bring information to the mind. Then the mind takes, it confuses, I mean, it has got all kinds of sankalpa, vikalpa thoughts come to it. What should be done, what should not be done, it is in a confused state, mind. Then comes buddhi, discrimination. Then you take a decision. This is the correct way. This is the wrong way. It tells us. Then we go do our actions according to that. Here, the difference is between chitta, the consciousness, the pure consciousness, and the indriyas, not between indriyas and mind. I hope I'm clear to you.
Oh, because even though word it says mind moves, maybe it's instead of the mind, it's like a pure consciousness with the senses.
No, pure consciousness in one direction. Atma is telling you not to go there. Atma is, I mean, even though it doesn't act anything, Atma is pure, but it is in one direction and Indriyas are going in another direction.
So going outward, Indriyas.
Yeah. Whatever
Brother Dasan wants to say something, I think.
Yeah, Dasan and Vijaya, Sister Vijaya. So.
Okay.
Sister, yeah, you can talk, sister.
Whoever wants to.
Brother Dasan, you go ahead.
Okay. So, Saira, so the mind, if we take the mind and 5 indriyas, you have to train the mind to control the indriyas. For an example, if you want to eat some sweet food, the mind is supposed to control. You are not supposed to eat. So if we can control then the mind is going to take over the power. The indriyas cannot do nothing. So if your mind is going towards invertedly, always you have to love yourself, who is seated in your heart, the Atma Linga. So you have to, mind, if the mind is pure, then your indriyas cannot do nothing because the mind will control. Then eventually that your 5 senses won't do anything because they cannot do nothing. Then they go along with the mind. So it's going to be, then you can successful in the task. So always, so if you develop your discrimination, cover what is real and what is not real. If you know, your consciousness will tell you always this is true. Everything you know in that world, everything is not real. So once you understand the path of reality, then you, whatever your karma you're doing, everything going to be your karma. That is the reason when you sacrifice everything as a yoga karma, then you can be successful. That is my understanding. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Shama Dhamma. That means control of the mind, and then comes the control of the senses. It comes. Of course, but here, Swami, what he's saying is, Indriyas move in one direction. That is, it's going outside world. And your consciousness is different. It is saying, no, it's not correct. So this is the confusion which is created by these two opposite things which are going in different ways. Yeah, I think Vijaya was trying to talk, is it?
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Dasan, and thank you, Sister Ananti and Kalyani, for those questions. For me, when I look at Abhishek, it's secret. It's like Namasmarana. When you're doing Gayatri Mantra to your Atma Linga, when you're having a shower or a bathing, or when you do it to a deity, it is Namasmarana. Your thoughts are only about God. Whereas when I see the Indriyas are moving towards other distractions. In Kali Yuga, we have so many distractions, but the chitta to be pure, you have to bring it to Namasmarana. When you're in Namasmarana, your chitta is pure, and from there you can take action. Because then, you're not going to be attached. You're only attached to God in your mind.
Yeah.
Have that purity of thought, word, and deed. Your attraction, you're not interested. If somebody offer you a cocaine or crack, or they tell you it's the most wonderful feeling, you're not going to go for it because you already have that chitta vritti, the pure consciousness, bliss, ananda is there.
Yeah.
You have to do Abhishek, Namasmarana. To me, this is like Namasmarana. And so you lose your detachment. Thought and form are the 2 banks of the river, like Swami says. And, you're always in that flow. and then take action from that place. Sairam.
So, yeah,
Sai Ram, this is Saku Aunty.
yeah,
Can I give my version of understanding?
yeah, sure.
Okay. The first sentence. You imagine yourself, you're doing an abhishek to a murti. Here the murti is none other than our own Atma.
Yeah.
And we have to pour water. With what are we pouring? Our own pure mental impulses. From where did the impulses come? From the previous births. From chitta, it got embedded in this chitta. So the mental impulses, we have to keep it pure.
Sure.
Remember, it has to be own pure mental impulses. With that pure water, that is the tirtha, you are pouring onto your Atma. Here, there is no contamination with the senses. The senses, it is the cause of all the problem.
Yeah.
The five senses and all its perceptions. It is all the time pulling the mind. Mind is something that always wants something to do. If the senses pulls, it will go along with it. If the consciousness pull, it will go towards the consciousness according to the discrimination that has happened. So according to this discrimination, who does the discrimination? The buddhi. The buddhi does the discrimination and it tells the results. And if mind is coming towards the buddhi and becoming helpful to the Atma, then the senses will be left alone. They will not bother the mind. That is a situation, ideal situation Bhagavan wants us to have. Not
Yeah.
to allow the senses to drive us everywhere, especially the mind. Then we are collapsed. So that is what Bhagavan says, that we have to constantly remember this and do actions, then it becomes an yajna. Thank
Yeah.
you. This is my understanding.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So keep attachment afar. In Telugu version, Swami is saying asakti. Asakti here means desire. Showing interest in something is asakti. In Telugu version, Swami is saying doshamu nundi duramu kammu. Be far away from desire. Desire is the one which is causing all problems for us. Desire arises and the indriyas go and then we take action. So when we take action, it has to bring along with us some punya or some papa, some merits and some demerits. So again that we are in that circle, moving again. We have to go through our karma and then we are born again and again. So, but what we have to do, Swami is saying, is you become a gnani, first gnani. Then, when you become a gnani, whatever you do, it becomes a sacrifice, a yajna. Whatever you speak becomes the mantra. And wherever you go, it becomes a kshetra. The place is rendered holy. And in the second paragraph, if everybody is fine, we can go discuss the second paragraph. Narmada?
Yeah, so I'll read the second one, or?
Yeah. If anyone wants to say something about the first paragraph, still they can do that.
I think we are okay with the first one.
Okay.
I already read that, so should I read that again, or I think we can just discuss the second paragraph?
Yeah. Swami is trying to tell here in the second paragraph what are the types of yajnas. Yajna means sacrifice. Give something away. So there are so many types of yajnas, but here he mentions Dravya Yagna, Tapo Yagna, Yoga Yagna. That is, first of all, Dravya Yagna, all of you, I think you are very familiar. Dravya means money. When one earns money, Swami gives that example of a pit, which you go on excavating the earth. On the other side, the mud is collected. Isn't that the mound becomes bigger and bigger if you go deeper and deeper? So Swami is trying to say, when riches accumulate in one place, that is, it must be correspondingly, charity also should be there. That is Dravya Yagna. Dravya means money, wealth, riches. And the Tapo Yagna, what is the Tapo Yagna? How can, if again, when all physical activities, mental activities and speech are utilized for the sadhana, spiritual discipline, then becomes Tapo Yagna. Not sitting in one place and going on doing some names or the beads, you go on mala, japa mala. It's not japa. It is when your physical activities, kaya, vacha, manasa, thought, word and deed, all the things which you do for the spiritual discipline, then it becomes Tapo Yagna. That's what he's saying. Yoga Yagna, afterwards it comes. Anybody else wants to say? They can go ahead.
So I like to add to that Yoga Yagna, Auntie.
Dravya.
Whenever you're doing any karma, if you are not bound to the karma, then it's become Yoga Yagna.
Yoga. Yeah. That's the last paragraph. Doing karma without attaching yourself, without thinking that we are doing the karma, then it becomes Yoga Yagna.
So the difference is for the Tapo Yagna, it's like you're doing tapas, but when your thought, word, and deed are kind of aligned in one.
Aligned together. Yeah, that is what
we're not talking about.
Go ahead.
Here we're not talking about detachment. When you add the detachment, then it becomes a Yoga Yagna. Correct?
Yeah.
No.
There also, when you're doing
activities.
Thought, word, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you're doing any activities, physical or mental or by word, that has to be utilized as a sadhana, which will not be, you'll not be expecting any fruits.
Yeah.
You should not be expecting any fruits. You are doing as a renounced person. When you are doing that, that becomes a tapas. That is Tapo Yagna.
Yeah.
So what is, okay. Then the Yoga Yagna, so what is the difference then?
That is, you are doing karma here. The Swami talked about thought, word and deed in that Tapo Yagna. Here it is only physical action. Physical,
Okay.
Yeah, yet remaining unbound by karma. That is Yoga Yagna.
So in the Tapa Yagna also you are detached. Like
everywhere. Yeah, always we have to be detached.
Not easy.
Even Dravya Yagna, it's not your money which you are going to give it to others as charity. It is given by him, so it goes back to him.
Okay.
All the Yagna means giving up the ownership of the action which you are doing.
Sairam, I thought that the difference between the second and third Tabo Jatna and the Yoga Jatna, the Tabo Jatna, it's the word, thoughts and deeds. All three should be aligned. And and the Yoga Jatna, only action, that is only the deeds, doing action but yet remaining unbound by action. So that the difference between the second and third one, in the second one, Swami says all three, word, thought, and action. That's why Swami said when all physical activities, that is action, mental activities, thought, and the speech, it's for the word. So what would be the good example to differentiate the second one and the third one? The real life examples.
So, Sairam sister, in my understanding is the second and the third one. Second one, when you are doing anything, your mind and your thought, words and deeds supposed to be the purpose of the spiritual sadhana, spiritual thing. You have to think that it's good for your whatever you are doing towards spiritual. And the third one, whenever you do anything, you should not expect of the fruit of the action. Everything has to be so you are not supposed to get the fruit of the action. That's all. But that's the difference. Thank you.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think Aruna uncle has come. He will explain.
Because he's saying here, when all physical activities, mental activities, and speech are utilized for sadhana, spiritual discipline, the second one.
Yeah, tapoyagna.
Auntie, I think we have to discuss in more to understand, because that's a good one.
Second and third is
Yoga Ratna, but we wanted to understand more, because everything we are sacrificing, but there are difference. Here words, thoughts and deeds. The other one is not taking fruit of the action. That's the main difference. But yet we need to understand, as Sister Anandya was asking, we need to understand a little more to it. Thanks.
The first one is very clear cut, the and even the Swami nicely said it should be the wealth and the charity, it should go side by side. But in the developed countries, they have made like that, either when the wealth goes up, they would do the taxing system. Now, even the India or all the countries, they have brought in the taxing system. So if they bring in taxing system, then automatically you would tend to give more charities, to reduce your tax. So maybe all the Western...
But Sister Anandi, but their thought, words and deeds didn't go together, because they are taxing, only giving, that's not the right thing to do. So it has to come from their heart. So
that is not tapoyagna.
Yeah, that won't be coming.
You are selfish because you don't want to pay the money to the government or the CRA. So you are doing another crookish way of paying tax or doing any other RRSP or whatever. So there also, it's not clearly you're pure.
What I am trying to say, at least in the developed countries, they have brought, it may not be the spiritual mental makeup, but at least they have brought into a system, to balance it. That's what I was trying to tell that. But of course, it should be given without expecting any tax break or anything. That's for sure.
Sorry to go back for the second and third, the Tapa and the Yoga Yajna, because the second one is thought, word, and deed. There is also karma there. The deed is there, right? And the third one is completely the action, the deed only.
Yeah, actually, in yoga, it is said, Chitta Vritti Nirodha is yoga. To control the mind, Chitta Vritti, that's what it's saying. Yoga, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is the definition for yoga. So that means, I think yoga yajna here, Swami is trying to say, the translation is here in doing karma, but yet remaining unbound in karma. See, in Telugu, Swami is saying, Chitta Vruttalanu Anuchukonata Yoga Manduru. That is, to control the Chitta Vritti is called restriction. Restricting your Chitta Vritti is yoga. That is the definition given here. So, your manasunu bhagavantanito lagnamu cheyu sadhaname yoga. You complete, your mind should abide in that absolute, that in Paramatma. The mind should go always abide in that, establish yourself in that Atma. Then, it is sadhana. That sadhana is called yoga. That's what I mean, Telugu. Arun has come, I think. Has he?
No, I don't see him.
Okay.
Auntie, can you just read that again? Can you read the
Auntie.
definition in Telugu for the Tapo Yajna and the Yoga Yajna?
Here. Mano Vakayamulano, that is mind, thought, word, and deed. Dharma sadhanula koraku, to utilize it for spiritual sadhana. Adi tapo yagna magunu. Then it becomes tapo yagna, as it is. Okay? Clearly, Swami is saying, mano vakaya, that is thought, word, and deed, which is utilized for the sake of dharma sadhana. That is for spiritual upliftment. Then it becomes tapo yagna. Then he comes to Swami, comes to the next one. Chitta vruttalanu anuchukonatu yoga manduru. Chitta vritti nirodha. That is the definition given in Yoga Shastra. For yoga, that means the definition of yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. To control the chitta vritti, that it goes here and there, control that, restrict that thoughts. Then you are doing yoga.
Sorry, nirodha means to get rid of completely,
no,
or just control?
To stop, to restrict.
To restrict. Okay.
Yeah.
Sai Ram, Chitta Vritti is mental impulses, right?
Yeah, mental impulses which go here and there, which run here and there.
Which has come from previous birth.
Maybe it is, yeah, that's correct. The vasanas. The vasanas make you think, think in different directions. So, sarva karmalu cheyuchu, karma bandhamuluku chikkukundute yoga banduru. You are doing all the actions, but you are not bound by it. That's what the second, translation here is saying. You are doing all the actions, but karma bandha will not be there. You are not bound by the karmas. That is not expecting any fruits for our action, or not taking the ownership of the karma. Then it becomes a karma yoga. Yoga yajna. That's what. Then he goes to Swadhyaya. There is another one.
Still is not clear.
The second one, Tapo Yajna, is just, that's what I can explain. I think Arun may be able to explain it further.
Yes, we'll park this. We can park this and we can move on. Because, it's a slight difference is there. We all understand.
Yeah, there's a slight difference that this third one,
we can park there.
To control your mind and do the actions, not bound by the karma. That is yoga yajna. I think that's.
Auntie, if we can take it like this, your body, mental, everything, use it for the spiritual activities. Your thoughts, your action, everything you are doing for the spiritual activities. If we have that kind of thought, it's going to be
that is tapo yajna.
Tapo yajna. Then we are not talking about yoga karma. Then yoga karma is a different. When you are not taking any fruit, that is going to be under yoga karma.
Yeah, that's what in the last sentence, what Swami is saying is doing karma by yet remaining unbound by karma is only given. Here in Telugu, Swami is saying Chitta Vritti Nirodha. restrict your mental impulses. That is yoga. That is yoga. Yoga yajna, then it becomes yoga.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kalakini.
No, is there also the sentence in the Telugu? It says, how can it be tapas if you are laid down due to weakness arising from...
That is there.
Okay.
You know, because of the tamas, you're not acting. And then you have not eaten anything. You have not eaten anything. And you become very weak. Isn't that? If you're laid down due to weakness arising from missing meal, that is there here also.
Okay.
ఒకవేళ శరీరమునకు అన్నము దొరకక పస్తు పరుండిన అది తప్పగున tapasaguna. You know, sometimes we fast and then, we say we are doing tapas. And at the same time, you're feeling the hunger and the thirst inside your body. And you're saying that you're doing tapas. It's not tapas. It cannot be called tapas. Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes, even though the very spiritually we will do the tabas, but the body system, it may tell that you don't have, and we may faint or the unconscious and those things. So if we have that sort of willpower, then we don't feel that weakness and those things. Maybe if we are very firm in that, maybe at that stage we don't even feel the weakness.
Yeah. Yes, Sister Anandi.
Yeah.
That is mean a person is body conscious. If he is body conscious, he will feel thirst, hungry, and this and that, tiredness and restlessness. All these things are connected with the body and mind. If we are body consciousness, then that cannot be called tapas. You will feel hungry. The hunger is bothering you. That cannot be called tapas. So that means that we are attached to our own body. We are not abiding in that pure consciousness and that mind. There is no control over the mind there. Yeah.
So I guess the difference could be that in Tapo Yajna, we could be doing thought, word, and deed for our spiritual good, but we may still have our eye on some sort of fruit, even if it is our own spiritual growth or getting happiness or peace or anything like that. So that we still are desiring some result. But if we even let go of that result, if we are truly doing it without any result in mind, then perhaps that's the Yoga Yajna.
Yoga Yajna. Mainly in Yoga Yajna, Swami is saying that Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That first has to be controlled. Restriction of the mental impulses should be controlled. Then you do the work, you do the action, you do the karma. Then without attaching yourself to that karma, then it becomes Yoga Yajna. So,
Auntie, in this case, like what in top of what Sister Kalyan is saying, Tabo Yajna is a word, thoughts and deed. Yoga Yajna may be from the consciousness. So pure consciousness.
So the impulses, controlling your
pure consciousness. Whatever we do with the pure consciousness, we won't look for any fruit of the action. Right? The other ones are word related. That's related to kind of mindset, right? The first one is look like a wealth. Second one is word, thoughts, and deeds. Then the third one is like a consciousness.
Third, thought, person, the physical, mental, and word are utilized for the purpose of sadhana, spiritual discipline. That is the most important thing.
Yeah, Tapo Yajna.
Yeah, that is the one that is called Tapo Yajna.
All the actions which we are doing mentally, physically, and with the speech,
utilizing for the purpose of spiritual discipline.
Upliftment of your own Atma. Of your own this thing.
Yeah, that becomes a Tapo Yajna.
I don't know, Anna is here now, I think.
Anna is there?
Yeah.
Sairam.
Sai Ram, Arun.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
We were discussing about Tapo Yagna and Yoga Yagna.
Yes.
So Swami is saying in Tapo Yagna, thought, word and deed are utilized for the sadhana, for the spiritual upliftment of a person. Then it becomes Tapo Yagna. Second one is doing karma by yet remaining unbound by karma is Yoga Yagna. And in Telugu version, Swami, what he is saying for yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is the sutra which is given. So when we control our impulses and then do it karma, then it becomes Yoga Yagna. That's what I was trying to tell, and you can.
So right, Auntie. So there's nothing for me to add. Sai Ram.
Brother, there is something to add to that, brother. We didn't come to a understanding on that yet. So still we were discussing on that. Thank you.
I think the difference we want to know the between the Tapa Yagna and the Yoga Yagna, where the detachment, where the aspect of the detachment, I think where, and also we're looking for some examples, I think. Anandi Aunty was asking.
I see. So, I will share what I think I understand. Ravi Yajna, I think everyone is fine. So whatever we have, we offer. But Swami says every physical activity. So I think from what I understand, in the case of Tapo Yajna, we have not given up doership yet. That means we are still taking some ownership. And we think there is some result accruing because of our actions. So, but then the actions are still performed with the view that these are becoming sadhana. That means there is some result which comes out of it, which will, take us forward, the spiritual path. So tapa means to burn, so you have a yearning to reach the Lord. So you do everything with the yearning that I am going closer and closer to the Lord, which is the purpose of sadhana. Whereas in the case of Yoga Yajna, you are one with the Lord. You have joined. You have completely you are connected to the Lord, and you are just doing anything without any even concern about the results of any kind. So that means you are completely detached with the results. So you don't even think that I am doing sadhana, so I will achieve something. You don't even, I think you may not even call it sadhana. You are just thinking of the Lord, nothing else. I think that's the highest, I think Swami is ascribed. That's my understanding.
Brother, there is a burning question I have on this one. Is a Tabo Yagna, Swami's Tabovana. Why that name is going with this kind of Yagna in mind? Swami has given that Tabovanam was written. Please.
You are referring to the book, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was written by a devotee. A devotee out of sense of devotion, that devotee wrote. Swami may have inspired him to give that name. I don't know. I'm not aware whether Swami gave that name to the book. I may be wrong. But I think, see, what happened was many people read Sri Sathya Sai Centres. So this person came up with the idea that I will write something which is like Swami Satcharita. And he wrote a book, which people can read. The reality is you can read as many stories as you want. But what is the purpose for which you are reading is what matters. Tapovanam is basically the forest, part of the forest where you engage in tapas. Any arduous sadhana, that's what is tapovana. Vana is a forest. Tapa is doing sadhana of rigorous sadhana, if I would say. So that's the reason. But that gentleman who wrote it has given it that name. That's all I understand.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's like just like any. See, there are so many books, so many devotees have written stories, and Swami has inspired them to give different names to those books.
Saram, brother. I can give one example for Tapo Yatna, the food. If one person tried to control the food and tried to eat moderate food and to control the mind and he wants to activate in the spiritual sadhana, it's called Tapo Yatna. Another person tried to control the food to lose weight and something like that. So that is not coming under Tapo Yatna. Thank you, Saira.
Okay. I think we should also pay attention to the word yajna. Tapo, see, tapas is different from tapo yajna. Tapas means many people do lots of tapas, but tapo yajna means you offer that also to the Lord. So it's slightly different than doing something so we will achieve something. Yajna also, there has to be an element of sacrificing that also, of offering that to the Lord is my understanding.
There is one sentence around in that last for the Yoga Yajna, Swami is saying here, Chittavrutaranu Anachukonata Yoga Manduru. That's restriction, Chittavrutti Nirodha.
They have not translated that, no, Auntie?
Sarvakarmalu, that's why I was telling them about that. Sarvakarmalu cheyichu karma bandulaku chikkakundate yoga manduru. You are doing all the actions, but you are not bound by the actions. That becomes yoga. That's what it's saying. And then one more sentence. Manassunu Bhagavantunito lagnamu cheya sadhaname yoga. Manassunu Bhagavantunito lagnamu cheyucha. You are wedded to Swami's Bhagavan, your mind rather. Then it becomes yoga. That's in Telugu what Swami is saying.
Auntie, which page is this?
73 in Telugu.
Okay, thank you.
Geetha Vahini. Last paragraph.
Okay, Auntie. Yes, Kalyani, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Auntie to repeat the meaning of that sentence.
Which one, beta?
Oh, where your mind is wedded to God?
Manassunu Bhagavantunito lagnamu cheyu sadhane yogamu. To abide in that Lord, it becomes a sadhana. It becomes a yoga. He has given 3 ways of explaining Yoga Yajna. First is Chittavrutti Nirodha. Second is doing actions without being bound by it. And the third is your mind is in the Lord, is abiding in the Lord. Arun, is it correct, all the 3 things which Swami is saying
yes,
about?
Auntie. Yes, of course. Yes, Auntie. Yes, so I think in English they have not translated any of this.
Correctly. Only one sentence, Yoga Yajna, he just has said. So 3 ways of explaining it in Telugu.
One is Chittam, the other one is mind should be fully wedded to the Lord.
Wedded to the Lord. And actions should not be, they are not bound by the actions which you are doing. If everybody is fine.
I'm sorry. So Chitta Vritti Nirodha means controlling the Chitta Vritti, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the chitta vritti, my understanding is that it is subconscious, like subconscious impulses due to our past vasanas and things like that. Is that correct?
Vritti is occupation of the chittam, you can say. When chitta is not occupied with any of its natural tendencies, which is, which generally means you again and again repeating things, dwelling again and again on the same thing. So it's, and it also means the vasanas don't get accumulated. Impression should not get accumulated in the chitta, so that it remains calm. So if I think the way I understand is, we go through life with all experiences, but there should be zero footprint on the chitta. It should be, as they say, it's written on the water. For example, somebody said something, you listen. When you walk away, those words should not remain. You have seen something. When you walk away, there should not be any impression. They are left in the chitta. So when you say, oh, does it mean memory? I don't think it's memory. It should not be an emotional residue of anything which happens. So you like something, you are eating something, you like it, you should enjoy it, and you should leave that desire, that enjoyment there and move on. Okay. It should not say, oh, that was very tasty, maybe I should come back. That means you have left an emotional residue.
Sai Ram, that means you have to have a clean chitta.
Yeah.
So that is chitta vritti. So
that is why Baba says pure water, equivalent to pure water, to do the abhishek on the Atma Linga.
Exactly.
Now understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so it's only like a jnani that can have a pure chitta vritti like that.
See, I think what the jnanis do is, when they eat, they will see you Brahma Arpanam. You have offered it to the Lord. Okay, and then move on. So that's why we chant before every prayer Brahma Arpanam. That means whatever we are eating, we say we are offering to the Lord. And we should not say, oh, maybe when will I have it again? That means chitta is okay. Ultimately, that's what it is. So I think that is means continuously practicing a sense of detachment.
Yeah, detachment.
Okay.
So that's for things that we are experiencing now in the present lifetime. But even if we are just, not doing anything, things will come up from our past lives, internal. So how do you deal with those chitta vrittis?
Just drop it.
Okay.
Drop the thoughts. If the thought comes, just drop it. And then wash your hands with some namasmarana.
Okay.
Wash it. So that's what Swami is telling. Do abhishekam. Just pour water. Nama Japava is the, name is the water with which you just purify anything.
Purify chitta.
Your thoughts will come. Old, sprouts will come. It's just like what happens in your backyard if something sprouts. A wheat sprout, you just pick it up and throw it. You don't hold it and see, what do I do? You can, you are just throw it, drop it, and move on.
And I guess you expect that it will come back. Like you just like
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
that is chitta. That is chittam which is telling it may come back.
Yeah, uproot it by completely.
If it came back again, you again pick it up and throw. It's like that.
In other words, no history and no mystery. Only the present. And that also you have to just let it go.
Oh, no.
Wow, it's so difficult.
Brother, so where's the discrimination then going to come? You have to have a discrimination too, right?
See, the thing is, we should separate memory from emotional impressions.
Okay.
Very, very important.
Yes.
Okay, any memory also with emotional impressions. You can, it can be just an objective fact, nothing more. And that's also not essential to that you have to repeatedly remember it. We should remember only the God. So once the mind is remembering God, it will not have the opportunity of remembering anything else. And so those are techniques of try to not let the impressions be collected in the chitta, which is chitta vritti.
Sairam, brother, maybe couple of paragraphs before, Swami said hunger and thirst are qualities of life. That means that if
Prana.
we are living a life, then those two are inseparable, hunger and thirst. Swami also when he explained the Tabojatna, Swami also says, how can it be spiritual penance if you have lain down due to weakness arising from missing a meal? So that means that I understand from the Tabojatna that we shouldn't give much importance for the bodily level or the for meals or those things. But Swami also said in the previous maybe 3 paragraphs before, hunger and thirst are qualities of life, birth and death are characteristics of the body, grief and delusions are affections of the mind. If those two are qualities of life, then how can we, Didi, coming out of that one and successfully, coming out of that qualities, hunger and thirst?
See, the thing is that see, we will feel physically, I think we feel pain and pleasure. That should not define us. At the pranic level, we will feel hunger and thirst. That should also not define us. And any thought, mind also, it should not define. So when you say it should not define, means we should realize that this part of the body, or this sheath on which we are inhabiting, has this problem. So if, but why Swami says that, for example, when you're hungry, we should eat. Then we should not be thinking about food until the hunger strikes us again. Okay. Then the mind takes over. Mind will say, oh, you may feel hungry. You may feel hunger for this. So Swami is just basically saying we should not spend our time in dwelling on these experiences as defining us and spend all of our life just chasing, solving these problems. Rather spend Atma. I think that's my understanding, sister, but I will open it up for others to comment what they take away from that. So Swami's, the thing is, in the case of tapas, why Swami is saying this is, many people say tapas means, okay, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't breathe, and you are doing some, thinking of, God will say, what is my problem if you are suffering? Many people think suffering means, I'm not eating, fasting today. So you'll say fasting is for the life. The food is for the life. So why are you depriving that of, Swami also has a saying, if you want to kill the snake, just beating the ant will not kill the snake. You have to beat the snake. So that means we sometimes make our body suffer and call it tapas. I think that is the only reason Swami is saying this.
Mainly Swami is speaking about such persons who call themselves that they are doing tapas by denying food and water to the body. And they say, what is the use of that kind of tapas? Swami is saying, it cannot be called. It cannot be called as system.
Maybe Swami, when I look at very closely, Swami also said, don't completely cut down the meal, or the Swami said, missing a meal, maybe once a while you're missing a meal, it shouldn't be a big deal for you, kind of advice. Maybe now I get it from that sentence.
Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, I think Swami may be speaking about it, or he has already spoken. Krishna says you should neither go without food, nor you should eat too much. You should eat as needed to the extent the body has to be kept.
Mitahara. Mitahara, mitavihara. Swami is saying.
Yes, Brother Thasan.
So, Sairam, brother, the hunger and thirst, that is for the body, not for the Atma. The body was given to merge with the God. So you have to take care of the body with the moderate food and everything. If the body is not there, you cannot merge. So your responsibility to take care of the body in order to merge with the God too. Thank you, Saira.
Sorry, Uncle, we did already discuss the first paragraph, but I just want to get your thoughts on it as well. Like the Atma Linga, it says do Abhisheka to the Atma Linga with the pure waters of your own Chitta Vritti. Atma Linga is just same as Atma, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And when it says the Chitta moves in one direction and the Indriyas move toward another, the person is doubly confused. But say your Chitta is moving in a bad direction and you try to change it by like changing your senses, like you try to look at something good or hear something good to change the Chitta Vritti. Isn't that a good thing? Like if you're
I think what I understand is all of them are pulling us in different directions. Okay. The eye wants something beautiful to look at, the nose wants something nice to smell. Everyone is going in different directions. On top of it, Chittam will also have its own desires. You know, that day I went, see, the senses are only looking at something. Okay, when they look at something, they get drawn. Whereas Chittam remembers from the past and will tell you, know, eyes, it'll remind the Indriyas, you know, don't look there, you know, we should be looking somewhere else. That is the pull of the Chitta. So,
excuse me,
yes,
Arun.
Auntie. Yes, Auntie.
You know, in the brackets, instead of giving Chitta, consciousness and heart, it has.
I know, wrong.
Wrong direction. That is confused.
That is the problem. It's neither consciousness nor heart.
Neither conscious nor heart. It is the memory of the past lives.
Yes.
That is
impressions of our past
lives.
Experiences. Yes.
So it is giving a lot of confusion to everybody.
Yes. Chittam is the collection of impressions.
Impressions, memory. It's I think what is given in the brackets are not.
I understand. It should be struck in, blacked out. That's because of the Chitta which they have put there.
So every time the past impulses come, we have to let it.
Yeah, they should not drive our life. You see, Chitta should not drive our life. The senses should not drive our life. So because we'll be running here, there, everywhere because of this, and Swami is saying, then we are doubly confused. So keep attachments apart.
Yeah, that's correct.
Chittam is not consciousness, it's the memory, right?
It is the memory.
So memory from past lives as well as past, or is it vasana as well or no? It's
vasanas
just...
are also there. Unsprouted vasanas will be there.
Okay.
Which is a collection in all Chitta only containers.
Right.
I know, see, translation. So, because unfortunately, the English language does not have the vocabulary to describe some of this. You know, just to explain Chitta, you had to write a paragraph. Otherwise, you know, that's the problem.
Brother, then the first sentence is now, the understanding is different now. When you are saying Chitta is all collection of impulses, then Atma Linga with the pure water.
Sister, pure Chitta Vritti.
Okay, good. Thank you. I got it.
Because Chitta Vritti can be positive also. Okay.
Good. Thank you, brother.
It's Swami gives the example of horses. A chariot is being driven by horses. If each horse runs after something, then it's a problem. But you need the horses, as Brother Thasan said. We need the horses because that's what is going to take the chariot. So we need them, but we need to have them under control and direct them to run the way we want them to run. And that's what Swami is telling, that pure Chitta Vritti Abhisheka, which is basically that. Use the senses to see what is good. Use the Chitta to retain good sattvic impulses of divine natures, and again and again repeat those positive ones. And that becomes Abhisheka, as Swami says.
Okay.
If it's okay, maybe we can read for one or.
And Swadhyaya Yagna. It means studying with humility and reverence the sacred scriptures that lead you to liberation or moksha. This study is the means to repay the debt due to the rishis who put the scriptures together. The next one is Jnana Yagna. By this is meant not the knowledge of the visible and perceptible, but the jnana of the invisible, the imperceptible, the paroksha jnana, not the aparoksha jnana. Listen to the sastras that are related to this jnana. Study them and ponder over the teachings in your mind, weighing the pros and cons. This is called Jnana Yagna. Jnana means also the eagerness to realize the Atma Tattva through inquiry from elders and those who have spiritual experience. Arjuna, you may ask me about the means whereby this can be acquired. Those anxious to get it have to go to realized souls and win their grace, and studying well their moods and manners. They must await the chance to ask for their help. When doubts arise, they should approach them calmly and courageously. Studying bundles of books and delivering hours-long discourses and wearing the ochre robes do not make the genuine jnani. Jnana can be won only from and through elders who have experienced the Absolute. You have to serve them and win their love. How can doubts be ended by the study of books? They only tend to confuse the mind. Books can at best inform. They cannot demonstrate by direct proof. Only the realized can convince by direct demonstration. So they have to be sought after and reserved reverentially. Then only can this precious jnana be won. No amount of sea water can slake one's thirst. No amount of sastric study can solve doubt.
Okay.
Sairam, everyone. So I think it's a lot. Swami has talked a lot here. So maybe we just look at the first paragraph. Swami is talking about Swadhyaya, study of scriptures, and then Swami is talking about
Dana Yagna.
Jnana Yagna. So I think this is, if anyone wants to refer, it's the verse 34 of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. Tadvitti pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te janam jnaninas tattva darshinah.
That is the second paragraph which gives.
Yes. The second, no, oh yes, yeah. So he's going. So, those 33, 34, if you read, I think Swami is speaking. So I think Swami is talking about studying. Swadhyaya is studying the Shastras. because that's a debt which we owe to the rishis who have written it down.
Yeah.
For example, Swami has spent so much time writing so much. So that's a debt. Just the fact that we read what Swami has written itself is paying, our debt to Swami, because he has taken so much time and put it down. So we have to read it, which is Swadhyaya. And Jnana, Swami says, so I think that's what the first one is. Maybe we can discuss that and then we can move on. If everyone is fine, then.
So, Sairam, brother.
Yes, brother.
So the first paragraph, so that is a reason before we reading the book, even the book, whatever, the Bhagavad Gita or any Shastras, we pray the book first. Even after reading the book, we pray the book, whoever wrote it for us. Because of the book only, we read it and we studied and we understood with the text, whatever is on the book, and it will motivate us to go on to the spiritual path. Thank you, Sairam, brother.
Sairam, brother, Sairam.
The words in Swadhyaya, the Swa refers to like self.
Swadhyaya.
Yes.
And what is the Dhyaya?
Adhyaya.
Adhyaya.
Swa Adhyaya.
Study.
Adhyaya means study.
Study.
Adhyaya to study.
So self-study?
You can say self-study.
What is that South study again? Then why we are
So-
study?
See, that's called Swadhyaya because Swa stands for Atman here actually. The study of the Atman. And only the scriptures have that information, which is a description of the Atman. All Shastras are describing the Atman, the Brahman in various ways. And so when you read it, you are reading nothing but the Atman. So it's a study of Atman, which is, when we say self-study, means we are studying the real self who is in us also. See, whatever Swami is saying to remind us that we are divine. We are not the body, we are not the mind, we are the divine. Okay, so that is the topic. The topic in every Vahini which you read, same topics, syllabus is the same, but the chapters are different. So that all Shastras are teaching that. So they're teaching us what is our real nature. That is what is meant by Swadhyaya, from what I understand.
Okay.
Means you can say, oh, I am studying it by myself. The problem is if we study by ourselves thinking that we are the body, means that is not necessarily the Swadhyaya. So,
Brother, one more question. I know sometimes it's too much to ask on that. The Swadhyaya now, you have mentioned now South, right? Is there any meaning like a South studying, like a South?
what South?
No.
Song.
Self. I think Auntie,
Self.
maybe you,
Self-study.
Self.
Self. Swaha.
So, yeah, now, okay. That's what I was wondering. What is this?
South?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. What is this?
So
Again, South?
because it is spelled in the wrong way. Yes,
Thank you.
No.
That's why I was wondering. What is this?
Where is South? Is it written here, South?
No, SW.
Oh, no, I was listening and saying why the South's talking about South kind of.
Self.
Okay,
Self.
Self-study. Swa. SW.
Now it's clear. Now it's clear. Thank you.
So if everyone is okay, then we will discuss Jnana Yajna.
Jnana Yajna. Yeah, that is more important.
So one is to study, reading, especially, instead of reading anything else, if you read what's in the Shastras, that's a good way of spending time. That will take us. But then Swami is talking about Jnana Yajna, and which is talking about Paroksha and Aparoksha. Okay, Para means the beyond.
Yeah.
The eyes, aksha jnana means perception with your eyes. So that means the eyes which see the other world, versus aparoksha means what you see around you, which is in this world.
Indirect.
Yeah, that is
Indirect.
indirect.
Mm.
So invisible, imperceptible, Swami is calling it, is the paroksha. Means that is beyond your physical ability to see also, it can also mean that way also. Swami has explained it that way. So Swami says, listen to the Shastra that related to the jnana, study them, ponder over the teachings in your mind, weighing the pros and cons. This is called jnana yajna. Then Swami says, inquiry from elders, those who have spiritual experience. If people have practiced it, then you see this is told in Upanishads, Geetha, everywhere. That's where Swami is saying.
Atma Tattva. To know about the Atma Tattva, we have to, when we read Shastras, when we study them and ponder over them, then we can at least make an attempt to understand that Atma Tattva through inquiry. In that Swadhyaya Yajna that is mentioned here, Rishi Runam, Pitru Runam, always we talk about, the Runam means we owe something to those rishis who have written scriptures. So we have to repay them, pay back that debt to them. That is why Rishi Runam.
Uncle, can I just ask, I was just listening to that Prem Manosh's Gita series talk, and he had talked about pratyaksha jnana, paroksha jnana, and aparoksha jnana.
Yes.
And he had referred to paroksha jnana as indirect through another's eyes, like the guru's word, and then aparoksha as direct knowledge when we experience the knowledge ourselves. But that seems opposite to here is.
So I don't know the context, but Auntie, you want to say something?
What I have learned about is paroksha jnana is direct knowledge. Aparoksha is indirect knowledge. We know something, but through something, through somebody's information, we come to know about it. Things that's indirect. If you see it, pratyaksha, when we realize that it is the real, but Brahman is imperceptible, he cannot be, he is invisible. To know about that jnana, we need a lot of, I think, a lot of study about it. That is jnana.
In the Telugu, Auntie, does it say the same as in the English?
Yeah, 1 minute. Let me see. Swadhyayamuna. Gnana yugamu. Idi aparoksha gnanamu kaadu. That's not aparoksha gnana. Sadhana rupamaina paroksha gnanamu. By only sadhana you get this knowledge. వీటికి సంబంధించిన శాస్త్రములను శ్రద్ధతో విని పఠించి యుక్తి ప్రయుక్తులతో మననము సలుపవలెను. ఇది సిద్ధ రూపము కాదు, ఇట్టి దాన్ని జ్ఞానయమందురు. By studying the Shastras and listening to the elders and yukti prayuktamulato, you can come to know about this paroksha jnana.
So it's consistent, it's the same as the English.
Yeah, it's the same as English.
So, Kalyani, okay, so go ahead, Auntie, sorry.
First of all, the tattva jnana, atma tattva, sorry. Atma tattva is not an easy thing to realize. How to get into that stage where, we can realize that atma, then it becomes paroksha jnana. Otherwise, we are doing only aparoksha jnana by reading the scriptures, by listening to the elders, by studying shastras. Only we can know that yes, Brahman exists. But to realize the Brahman, you should have the Anubhuti. Paroksha Anubhuti you have to have, then only you can realize. Sairam.
Right. Yeah, so Kalyani, Pratyaksha means what you can see with your eyes. Okay. Paroksha, Aparoksha, let's go to Pratyaksha to Aparoksha. Aparoksha is perceptible. That means you, though it's beyond the eyes, you can actually perceive. So that the mind is the place where you can perceive various things. But Paroksha Jnana is beyond that.
Beyond.
It is imperceptible. People call it indirect, but let's say imperceptible. That's invisible, imperceptible. That means even mentally you cannot imagine and understand, or your buddhi. As Auntie said, it's through anubhuti, through experience. But how do you get that experience? When you see or meet a person who has experienced, that person will be able to give you that text. Just the proximity or demonstration can give you that experience. That is called Paroksha Jnana. And that is why I think that in the next paragraph, Swami is explaining how do you achieve that. And that's why I said it's the 34th shloka. In the, you have to find a person who is ability, who has called Tattva Darshi, means one who can show you the Tattva, who can, it is not, we cannot go and find it. Okay. Someone who has seen it has to guide you to, or give you that experience, Anubhuti, which is what Auntie said. Okay, so that is Swami says is Paroksha Jnana.
So Paroksha Jnana is the highest. It's like
higher.
And that is also Yajna. So we have to spend time to go to places, people, associate with them, and then that grants you that. See, that is one of the reasons why people make pilgrimages. You go to a holy place, there will be people who are gathered, who are dwelling in that. Even if you do not see them, they are able to give you that experience. So people go and go to caves, places where rishis have meditated, who are places where such people come. That is why pilgrimage, sthala yatra, is a very important thing for sadhana, because you go to a sthala to absorb the energy of all the people who are there, because invisible jnanis and yogis will be there. Like Swami, when he planted a tree in Prashantanilem, he said, here rishis will come and meditate. So that means he has already set up a place where it will attract such people. And you may not know, they will not introduce, doesn't matter. But just their presence, to be in their presence and doing sadhana will easily get you that spark of, it can kindle, or you can get some glimpse. So people go, and until we reach that point where we are continuously in that state, you have to seek out and enlighten yourself through that proximity. And that's what is called Jnana Yajna. Okay. I mean, people can read books and can give lectures. That's what Swami says in the next paragraph. But I think we have gone past 4:30.
4:30 now, yeah. Okay.
I have one quick question. Sadguru. So he's visibly there for us, right?
Sadguru?
Yeah. To clear all these and teach us.
Is she referring to that Sadguru?
The direct knowledge.
Are you?
No.
Auntie, which Sadguru you are referring to is the question.
Swami.
Swami. Okay.
So the thing is, you have to seek where you can experience him, and he will be able to grant that. He will grant, not he will be. He will grant.
Yeah.
Yes, Brother Dasan, you have a question or comment?
Yeah. So Sairam, brother, I like to give some whatever I learned for the Sadguru. The Sadguru means the person who realized who he is. Self-realization. that person only can teach the self-realization. If the person doesn't have that experience of self-realization, he cannot call him as a self-realization person or Sadguru. And he is the only person can take us to the other side of the mundane of existence. He is the one called Sadguru. All the gods, even Siradi Baba, even Satya Sai Baba, they all call, even Lord Shiva, they all call Sadguru, not other normal people. Thank you, Saira.
Okay. I think it
Thank
need-
you. Yeah, we'll continue the discussion. Thank you, brother. We'll
Yeah.
continue this
discussion.
discussion next week.
Okay.
So we'll close with Samastaloka and Shanti because
Yeah.
Saira. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram.
Sairam, brother.
Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sairam.